Twilight Gets a Puppy. By TDR. Chapter 47. Loop Before You Sleep. Part 1. Ponyville Town Square. 1 week after the dragon left. The low rumble of distant thunder sounded over the town as a multitude of ponies moved around Ponyville Town Square Park, picking up tree limbs and pulling down broken branches in preparation for the storm. Well, save for one pony. A white unicorn with a purple mane and tail. She seemed more intent on working on her topiary skill rather than do any real work. Rarity's magic collected a branch and reattached it to a tree. She looked over the dead branch and the few leaves left on it with a frown. She gasped softly at the idea crossing her mind before her horn glowed once more and the remaining leaves took on the shapes of dancing ponies. Perfect. Rarity smiled, only to have a lasso flip up over the end of the branch, yanking the dead limb off the tree again. What? Rarity stated, turning to glare back at the pony at the other end of the rope. Just take the broken limbs down, Rarity. Applejack ordered. Don't y'all care about nothing but prettifying? Some pony has to. Rarity scoffed. You are making an absolute mess of the town square. Yeah, well, the storm's gonna make an even bigger mess if we don't prune all these loose branches so they don't tumble down on any pony, or anything. Applejack countered. I simply cannot understand why the Weather Patrol had to schedule such a dreadful downpour this evening and ruin what could have been a glorious afternoon. Rarity whined. 'Cause we're behind schedule. A blue blur stated as it whizzed past them pushing a cloud. The rain order got messed up last week 'cause of the dragon. The blur whizzed by again. And when we got it fixed, another blur by. They shipped all the clouds we were supposed to get last week with the ones needed for this week, more clouds being pushed. And on top of that we've got a storm building over the Everfree we need to bleed off. Rainbow Dash finally paused over the pair, wiping her forehead with the back of her hoof. The team's gonna be working all night to make sure that other storm gets reduced into this one, or we're gonna have an even worse storm hitting us all at once. The Pegasus glanced up at the clouds and winced at what she saw. No. Thunder Lane, the Arcus goes over there by the Mammotus. What do we pay you for? We get paid, the dark stallion in question called back with a smirk. Idiot. Rainbow Dash face hooved before shooting up into the air and vanishing into the cloud bank as the rain started to fall. Well, there's your answer. Applejack pointed out, though Rarity wasn't listening as she was screaming about her mane and trying to dodge raindrops. Seriously? Applejack grumbled, looking around. Go hide under that picnic table while I try to finish this up if you're so worried about it. Rarity did just that, running over to the picnic table, though before she could go back to work the mare started whining again. Applejack sighed and trotted over to her. What now? Applejack deadpanned. I prefer not to get my hooves muddy. Rarity stated, pointing down at the rapidly growing mud puddle under the table. Seriously? Ain't you usually digging in the dirt for gems? Applejack snorted. I wear hoof gloves. Rarity explained. There just ain't no pleasing you, is there? Applejack muttered. Ya can't stand anything if it ain't just so. And how would muddying my hooves serve any useful purpose? Rarity scoffed. Ya wouldn't know useful if it came up and bit ya. Applejack rolled her eyes. That doesn't even make any sense. Rarity countered. Does so. Does not. Does so. Does not. Does so. Does not. Does so. Does not. Does so infinity, ha. Applejack countered. Does so infinity, +1. Rarity smirked as the pair glared at each other. Y'all should probably be on your way before ya say something you're gonna regret. Applejack growled, her eyes narrowed at the white mare. Indeed, perhaps we should go our separate ways before you say something you will regret first. Rarity countered, returning the glare. The two of them slowly started backing away from each other until a sudden flash of lightning and crash of thunder made both of them scream out and dart back together in a panicked hug. Bucket raindrops, what did you do that for? Rainbow Dash shouted from above the clouds. It's too early to bleed off the charge. Cause it's fun. A rather dour-sounding mare shouted back. Both the mares on the ground heard the familiar slap of hoof to face. You know what, fine, whatever. Rainbow Dash called out. Knock yourself out with it. Okay. Raindrops called back as another crash of thunder sounded. Perhaps we should stick together and find some shelter. Rarity pointed out. And fast. Applejack stated, noting the wind and rain were picking up. Applejack? Rarity, a voice called out over the sound of the rising wind. Looking around, the pair noticed the large tree at the other end of the park, one with a purple unicorn standing at the back door yelling at them. Twilight? Applejack questioned. I thought she had gone to Canterlot this weekend. Rarity stated. What are you two doing out here? Come inside quick. Twilight shouted, urging them towards the library. Not having to be asked twice, both of them rushed towards the door as another flash of lightning lit up the sky. Though Applejack paused at the door. Yeah, is staying inside a tree the best place during a lightning storm? Applejack questioned. Please give me some credit, Applejack. Twilight scoffed. I've got lightning rods in place at the highest branches, magical wards all over the trunk, and aside from you two, everything in the house is fireproofed 6 ways from Sunday. Isn't that a bit overkill? Rarity asked. I live with a dragon. Twilight explained simply. Plus, adding all this stuff cut down my insurance premium by a lot. Unfortunately, with Ross around, I need to recast them every month or so, sooner if he decides to chew on something. Sounds more like a new puppy than a brother. Applejack responded, stepping inside. He's civilized, most of the time. Twilight admitted. Come on in. Thank you for the most gracious offer. Rarity began. Yeah, thank ya kindly. What? Applejack demanded, glaring at Rarity, who put up a leg to stop her before pointing at the mud covering the mare's hooves. Have some thought to our host's household and go wash up. Rarity ordered as Applejack headed back outside, grumbling. The weather team's outdone themselves this time, Twilight stated. Hope you two don't have any trouble getting home. It may be a bit of trouble. Rarity muttered, flipping her mane a bit, trying to fix a few stray hairs that had sprung loose from the rain. Well, you're welcome to stay if you like. Twilight offered. Spike and Ross went with Trixie up to Canterlot to audition for a play. Trixie's looking to stay with her Aunt Broadway as well. It's probably going to take another month before her wagon's fixed and she can get back on the road. I don't think she really wanted to stay in town anymore if she could help it, really. Despite snips and snails being the cause, there's still ponies with misdirected anger. Well, she did turn my hair green. And you stole a stage prop. Applejack stated, tromping back into the building after finding the hose. Yes, well, I only realized that after the fact. I also paid for the one I took and made her 2 new curtains to go with the show. Gaudy things really, but they fit her aesthetic. Rarity rolled her eyes. Anyway, as I said, you two are welcome to stay here for the night. I don't think the storm's supposed to let up until they can bleed out the build-up over the Everfree. Where's Ross and Spike? Applejack questioned. In Canterlot, auditioning for a play with Trixie. Twilight offered. Though Spike only went along because they were going to hit a karaoke place too. Asterisk. Canterlot. So you wanna play with magic? Colt, you should know what you're falling for. Baby, do you dare to do this? Cause I'm coming at ya like a dark horse. Trixie sang on stage to a rather captivated audience. Spike and Ross sat at a table off to the side of the room, though the odd pair still got the occasional glance of worry from the other ponies in the room. Spike didn't care and was currently enthralled with the singing, though Ross was searching through a book of songs to pick out what he wanted to sing. Sweet Celestia, she's amazing. Spike stared at the stage, noting Trixie seemed to be singing at them. Woof. Ross agreed, smirking as he pointed out a song on the list. Spike tore his eyes away from the mare he supposedly had a grudge against and looked at the song Ross pointed at. Pantera's wanted dead or alive. You always sing that. Spike protested. Trixie for her part was getting annoyed that the individual she was trying to woo with her singing was seemingly ignoring her. Though with the focus the rest of the crowd had on her, she couldn't just stop now, could she? Asterisk. Ponyville. I can't imagine how that will go. Applejack pondered, feeling a twinge of something at the revelation. It felt odd for her brothers to leave Twilight alone like this. "Ooh, you two should totally stay over. We could have a slumber party. I've read about those and I've always wanted to try one," Twilight exclaimed. "Oh dear me, I seem to recall another engagement that I had this evening, that had slipped my mind until this point." Rarity muttered. "I'm afraid I can't possibly stay here all night, with Applejack." If either of the other ponies in the room heard her, they didn't say anything. Applejack was trying to figure out if something was wrong, while Twilight was searching the bookshelves for something. Twilight smiled as she pulled a book down from a shelf, floating it over for Rarity to look at. Slumber 101, All You've Wanted to Know About Slumber Parties But Were Afraid to Ask, Rarity read before glancing over at Twilight. "Seriously? It's my own personal copy. I picked it up ages ago and it's a great reference guide. You should see the table of contents." Twilight beamed. "I've never gotten to try it before. This is gonna be great." Applejack and Rarity looked at each other with a wince before looking back at Twilight. "Yes, great." Rarity sighed. Author's note. Title is based on the fact that dogs tend to turn in little circles before they lay down. Loop before you sleep, yeah no. Due to a suggestion I made it a double pun with the French word for wolf tossed in there too. Okay, so I was reaching for that pun whatever. This one was going to be a short chapter like the last one, but I had an idea I wanted to try out, so I'm running with it. Truth be told, bridal gossip is the one I really want to get to and write. Also more Trixie. End author's note. End chapter 47. Loop before you sleep. Part 1.